Quick announcement before we jump into the episode. The 8-week parenting pivot, where you'll learn how to implement Connect Method parenting, get your kids to want to listen to you, is starting October 28th. Head over to cmp.works/pivot to find out more. Happy Saturday, everybody. Just got back from a morning walk with my family. I love history. We're in Rome right now, and it was an incredible walk. I'll just leave it at that. Now I'm back at the apartment, chilling, and I'm using the rest of the day, other than we're going to go get gelato in a minute. But most of the day, I'm going to spend wrapping up the pivot stuff that needs to happen because we start orientation week on Monday. So if you're not currently signed up, this is your little reminder to get that done today. I want to see you. I want to support you through the holiday season, help you get through Thanksgiving if you're in the United States, Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate at the end of the year, the new year, and make sure that you show up as the parent you respect the entire time, that you strengthen the relationships, that at the end of the time that we work together in the pivot, that you feel on top of the world. That's what I want for you. Now, there's going to be all kinds of parents in the pivot. CMP Babies is one of my parents that's in league right now, called herself on office hours. Pivot alum, longtime Connect Method parenters who have been in with me for years, working on their stuff with their family, up-leveling. So if you want to do this, if you want to get your kids to want to listen to you, which is very different than getting them to listen to you with threats and consequences and timeouts, rewards, ultimatums. I've done all of that. It feels icky. It really doesn't work long term. So if you want to ditch all that stuff and be able to use connection, not correction, want better relationships, want to have more fun, want to feel more confident to be the parent you respect, regardless of how crazy your kids are going to be over this holiday season, this is for you. You're going to be able to stay confident and set connective limits no matter what's going on in a way that you respect. And this is going to be one of the best pivots yet. Every single round that we do the pivot, we iterate and we improve. But sometimes those iterations and changes take a little bit of time to actually roll out. And so many are rolling out this time. I'm so excited. We're updating all of the weekly lessons so they're even more clear and simpler so that you get from yelling, frustrated to calm and connected even faster. More hands-on implementation help than ever before. You can buy a hard copy workbook, which has been highly requested by so many people who've come through. So that's available now. So excited about that. That took a long time. We're going to have Big Mama goal audits and forecasting. So everybody who comes into Pivot sets a goal, but this time we're getting more clarity and having more accountability about it, which is going to make a huge difference. Weekly accountability responses from me. Every single time you fill out the evaluation form for the end of the week, I'm going to respond. I don't think I will ever do this again. And I'm a little nervous about doing it this time, but I have committed to doing it. I'm very excited to see what happens when you get weekly check-ins with me. So that's pretty exciting. Optional office hour calls are happening 3 to 5 times every week this pivot. That's something we've done every pivot so far. We've done that. We're continuing that because it's so powerful. This helps you stop guessing how to implement what we're talking about that week and continue to work through challenging situations. I'm so excited about those. Community discussion boards, these are brand new. So you're going to feel the support and help of other moms that are just like you. And those are rolling out this time after a lot of work to get those up and running for us. We have our custom CMP portal, which gets you all of the step-by-step help you need on the 4 tools I'm going to teach you, along with announcements and the discussion boards and the lessons. So all of that's there. And then the private podcast feed makes listening and learning to the CMP framework and the lessons easy, and the replays easy on the go while you're doing your laundry, picking up the kids from school, whatever you're doing, you can multitask and listen on the go, which is really important to me. That's why I had to for sure include it in every pivot we've done and to continue to include it moving on. Now, let me just give you a summary of what the pivot looks like. How in 8 weeks do we get you from feeling frustrated or maybe disconnected or just not where you want to be as a parent to feeling connected and feeling confident and being able to be the parent you respect? Okay, so here's how we do it. Weeks 1 through 3, we're working on calming your nervous system down. We're going to look at your triggers, your stories, your emotions. We're going to create new neural pathways so that you can stay calm and connected no matter what your kids are doing. I call these first 3 weeks the awareness exercise weeks. We're focusing on the first CMP strategy, understand your own behavior so you can leave room for theirs. Weeks 4 and 5, we're focusing on the second CMP strategy, which is consistently connect. And we're going to make your relationships with your children as strong and resilient, as safe as possible, which makes all of the difference. If we don't have strong relationships with our kids, we can't have the impact and influence we want. So creating strong relationships is everything. And then week 6 through 8, we're going to work on connectively responding to your child when they're doing something that your brain says they shouldn't be doing, which is a lot of things. And so we're going to work on how do I lean in instead of lean out. And this is the third CMP strategy, choose closeness. So how do I still help them feel safe? How do I not activate their nervous system? How do I set a limit from a compassionate yet firm place? All of that's addressed the last week. And we have this fantastic tool called the Response Plan Assistant that walks you step by step through different situations. It's a choose your own adventure, interactive, responsive tool that will allow you to start seeing how you can show up differently with your kids in real time. You can use it in the moment. I've had parents do that to prepare for tricky moments, to give them some options instead of just yell or give consequences or timeouts, and then to review after the fact. Every week you'll have a 30 to 90 minute lesson. Then plan on about 15 minutes a day to do a process I teach you. No kids required, needed, or even wanted during this time. This is your process that you're doing every day. For the most part, the rest of the implementation time is done organically while you're parenting. There are a couple of little mini things I'm going to have you do along the way, but nothing too time intensive. If you have more questions about the pivot, go to cmp.works/pivot, or you can listen to the episode 89 that I did on the pivot where I talk about it in depth. If you have any questions about the pivot and you want to talk to somebody, go fill out the application. And then you'll see as soon as you filled out the application, an option to talk to somebody or message somebody. As we've been collecting data this year, as we've been doing the CMP study, kids listening have gone up on average 251%. Relationships have improved 202%. And parents have reported that their ability to handle challenging situations has gone up by 246%. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I think the numbers speak for themselves about how amazing this is. There's never been a better time to join the pivot. Not only is it the last one of the year, but most likely it'll be the last time that we'll offer the entry fee of participating in the pivot as a 100% refundable deposit. So you pay the deposit, and if you finish the pivot, you get it back. It's a promissory note to yourself that you're not going to stop halfway through. And it's a way for us to allocate resources wisely. It does require a lot of manpower and time to support people as they go through the pivot. For us to be able to study the impact of the 8-week program, we need people to finish the 8-week program. So that's why the deposit's there. But at the end, if you feel complete and you finish the pivot, we give it right back to you. No questions asked. We just ask that you finish the pivot. That's the question we do ask, because you do have to finish the pivot. So come and do the pivot again if you've done it before, or come do it the first time for basically free. And again, if you've done the pivot before, this pivot's going to be different for many reasons, many reasons. New weekly lessons, updated workbook that you can get, printed version, more accountability. You're going to love it. It's going to be amazing. Compounding effect of doing the pivot is massive. The important work of parenting, it finally gets the attention it deserves, and you learn how to get your kids to want to listen, strengthen those relationships, have more fun every step of the way. In fact, the pivot is really giving you this map to go from point A, where you are now, to point B, to make it feel doable, to replace correction with connection. Doing the pivot and learning how to implement Connect Method parenting is life-changing. Connect Method parenting is the science-backed framework that will help you create the relationships you want, the listening you want, the impact you want as a parent. So share this with your family and friends. If you've already done the pivot, come do it again. Over half the parents repeat the pivot. First time through anything, we typically can only retain about 10% of new information. So the second time through, you can go deeper with your implementation of Connect Method parenting. Orientation week starts on Monday, the 28th. And then our first official week 1 of the pivot will start the following week. I believe it's November 3rd. The pivot will end January 11th, and that's because we're taking 2 weeks off, one for Christmas and one for Thanksgiving, which gives you 2 extra weeks to go through the content, absorb, and iterate, and 2 extra weeks to practice implementing it with your kids when they're home for longer periods of time. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll see you all next week, hopefully in the pivot. Ciao. If you enjoyed this episode, check out the last 8-week parenting pivot that we're doing this year. It's starting October 28th. It was going to start sooner, but I'm currently traveling internationally with my family and I overestimated how productive I'd be, so we pushed it back a couple of weeks. The pivot is where you're going to learn the entire Connect Method parenting framework in just 8 weeks, helping you have more cooperation, better listening, transitioning from corrective to connective parenting so that your kids actually want to listen to you. If you've been listening to the podcast and you love what we talk about here, but you're having trouble making that transition in your home, this is the ticket for you. It's the last pivot of the study also, which means that you can participate basically for free. In 8 weeks, you put a $200 deposit down. If you go through the entire pivot and do all of the things I ask so that we can track the progress and the results that Connect Method Parenting has in your home, then you get the deposit back at the end, which is so fantastic. Go to cmp.works/pivot. You're going to get all the details there. This is an 8-week parenting boot camp. It is not for the faint of heart, but it's for those who are really ready for a change. If you want to figure out how to get your kids to want to listen to you, if you want to feel more confident in your parenting, you're going to want to come jump in the pivot. I'm going to show you step by step how you go from correction-based techniques to connection-based techniques. We're not going to use consequences, threats, timeouts, any of that anymore. We're going to replace it with a connection-based framework. You're going to get better results and feel so much better. And let's have a little bit of fun. So if you're ready, jump over to cmp.works/pivot. You can get all of the info there. We're starting October 28th. I'm going to finish this with some comments from other parents who have gone through previous pivots, which, by the way, the average is 200% plus increase in listening, confidence, feeling more capable of showing up in a connective, not corrective way. So I'll drop their comments here. Take a listen. And if you're interested, go over to cmp.works/pivot. I'll put it in the show notes too. Hope to see you there. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Are we only 2 weeks in? It's like night and day already. There's just been this total shift.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I've packed it 20 years of counseling or something. Just seeing so much gold coming out of him as I've changed my belief about him in that situation and erased the 20-year-long narrative attached.
Hearts are so connected. So yeah, that has been really good. Thank you. I'm so grateful. And this really has been huge, such an answer to prayer for us.
I just can never express how great this has been and how thankful I am. It's been everything. It's been so good.
I really, really see the change.